You know what? Today I'm going to say something to you that may sound a little bit harsh, a little bit counterintuitive, but you should quit entrepreneurship if it is not right for you. In this video, we're going to talk about something that is basically like a life and business audit. Right here on this channel, we are going to talk about it on the Introvert Marketer podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Garside, 10-year entrepreneur. I've collectively gotten my clients $31.9 million in revenue. And today, we have to talk about if you are really ready to be a CEO, if you're really ready to be a business owner, if you're really ready to invest in marketing, if you're actually ready to handle sales, if you're ready to hire a team, an operations manager, if you are ready to be innovative, because this next phase of economics and the world is going to make the toughest entrepreneurs, but many people won't be in business after this year. Now, I want to be honest with you. Entrepreneurship is rigged, especially if you are a Black woman. Listen, entrepreneurship is super rigged, okay? I have peers in my industries, clients of different nationalities that have access to venture capital, that have access to systems and networks that we as Black women entrepreneurs do not have access to. But listen, this is not some kind of victim mentality talk. This is hey, it doesn't matter what we don't have access to. We need to be resourceful and see what we do have access to and how we can leverage that access to build our companies. Now, here's what I did. 10 years ago, I set out to be an entrepreneur. I started out as a freelance writing consultant, writing blogs for other businesses, local businesses in my community in Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to the event studio. Shout out to a couple of those local businesses that were like, yes, I want you to come in, handle my blogs, handle my social media, handle everything so that we can get new clients. And once I got those clients for those businesses, I started raising my prices. I started charging more. Through the years, I continued to raise my rates until I was able to start working with corporate companies. Now, a lot of people get this part wrong. When I say, hey, I work with corporations, they're like, oh, you had a W-2 and then you quit the W-2 to start your business. No, I did actually the opposite. When I started working with corporations, it was not as an employee. It was as a consultant. Companies like Function of Beauty, Clever Incorporated, and a plethora of others, working with government contractors as well on their projects. And so this is why I want to ask you, do you have what it takes in entrepreneurship? Are you willing to only network with the right people? Now, I am the type of entrepreneur, I do not waste my time. I'm like that as a mother. I'm like that as a wife. That's the kind of person I am. That's probably the way I grew up, but I do not waste time. So you won't see me at networking events that are not going to push the needle further. You're not going to see me doing miscellaneous things. I'm not going to go meet with random people. Instead, the best entrepreneurs use precision straight out of the gate. So if you don't have an email list, you build that email list. You start cold pitching, cold emailing. And you don't just cold email anything. Be resourceful. When I started cold emailing 10 years ago, you know what I would do? I would write them a blog. So I wasn't just pitching them off the bat. I was being resourceful, sending them a video I created, sending them a blog, sending them a case study so they could see what it's like to work with me. And converting clients became so easy to the point that it doesn't even make sense. I mean, even when I look back at it today in my career growth as an entrepreneur, I'm honestly like, oh, glory, hallelujah. Thank the Most High, because the way that I have been able to pivot and get into these tech corporations with huge venture capital funding just off of my portfolio, just off of knowing how to market and sell my business and to hire a team to support that business. Because again, your girl is a mother of 6 and it truly does take a team. In busy seasons, are you ready to hire another marketing strategist, another copywriter? Those are 2 things that I hire for immediately. Now, a lot of people will tell you just hire an accountant quickly, do something like that. My first 2 hires were an online business manager and a copywriter. Why? Because my sales processes for copywriting And client delivery mattered more than hiring an accountant. It was more important, logically, as an entrepreneur, to replace myself so that I can duplicate myself in another area than to simply hire an accountant or a CPA or something like that, when we have tools that are available for that access. It isn't too difficult until you get to multi-millions, or you want to be an S corporation and change, because the S corp is going to give you better tax rates. That's something to hire for. But if you are just starting your business, you're restarting your business, you're pivoting, you're like, I'm trying to learn this AI stuff. If you are just starting, the most important thing to hire for is marketing and sales, because without marketing and sales, ma'am, sir, you don't have clients. This is why your girl shows up every day on multiple platforms, not just this one you're watching me on either. Emails. I email my list twice a day. I build my email list every single day. I have email automations where people who subscribed to my list 4 and 5 years ago are still there learning about the journey, opening emails. Are you willing to be that consistent as a business owner? Because that's what it takes, hands down. If you're not willing to be that consistent, then you should quit entrepreneurship. Plenty of business owners fail out here, not because they're not disciplined, not because they're not skilled, but because they're under-marketed, they're undersold, and they do not have the infrastructure. I want you to think about a house. When somebody's building a house, because somebody's building a house right next to us, so I'm like watching them. When somebody's building a house, they have to lay a strong foundation, because if they do not lay a strong foundation, that house and that system will inevitably collapse. And so if you are not building that foundation in business, unfortunately, your business will collapse. Now let's talk about how to build that foundation. Remember this rule. Write it down. It's so pertinent in today's economy, the AI-driven economy, where people overly depend on AI. And I have always warned you guys against this. Do not overly depend on AI. So here it is. Put this on a t-shirt. Leave nothing vague. Vagueness in entrepreneurship, not niching down, not knowing your exact ICP, ideal client persona, will leave you out of business, especially in the age of AI, because there's just too much information out there. There's too many people that you could be serving. But the best way to show you this is to give you a few case studies of clients. My clients, one in particular is a functional medicine provider, but she specifies so specifically, okay? She's been on my email list, booked a VIP day, $3,000. We did her 20 email sequence, did her custom corporate branding guide. She was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I just got the corporate treatment. That's really what I go for when I'm working with clients. I want you to feel like you have the corporate treatment as a business without having that VC funding that you otherwise would not have access to, okay? But listen, her niche was so specific. She wasn't just a wellness practitioner or provider. She wasn't just doing that. She had structured her product development around one main issue: perimenopause. Now, she could have said, oh, I'm a nutritionist, or oh, I help you get healthier by stretching, I help you. These are terms that are just way too generic. You want to speak explicitly to the pain that your audience is experiencing so that they can self-select themselves in your process and decide if you are the right business to work with, because it's really hard. And you can imagine this: if you're going to a doctor, and let's say you're having eye issues, let's say you can't see, you need to get your glasses repaired. You're going to go to an ophthalmologist. You're not going to go to the general practitioner, correct? You're going to go to the ophthalmologist. You're going to save the general practitioner for random checkups. But when you have a specialty that needs to be solved, and you need to come up with a specialty that needs to be solved, or audit your specialty to see if it's specialized enough, then people are more willing to buy from you because they are seeking you out for that specific problem. Now that leads us into number 2. The next foundation is discoverability. I can't tell you how many contracts that I have won as a marketing firm and continue to win, continue being found where I have to turn down some of these contracts, okay, from being discoverable. Now, here's the 2 things that you need to be discoverable. You have to be a great writer. or you have to know a great writer on your team that has a focus on search engine optimization. And not the kind of search engine optimization that has low intent and that people are not ready to buy. The specialized search engine optimization that's focused on your ideal client persona. This is a skill that I honed in and mastered back in 2018 when I was working with a marketing agency down in Atlanta, a Black-owned marketing agency. Those were the days, my very beginner days. And she would have us as copywriters come in and write speaker bios for people on LinkedIn. Now, you may think a speaker bio on LinkedIn, if you're a speaker, if you're a consultant, if you are in corporate training or you're selling trainings, things of that nature, you think the speaker bio is just to look pretty, to look polished, but it's also for you to look discoverable, because somebody out there is searching for local marketing agency in Columbus, Ohio, or local marketing agency in Dallas, Texas, or education consultant in Dallas, Texas, education consultant in Miami, Florida. These are just some of the key words that you can use to be found in LinkedIn. For me, I use terms like growth marketer, email marketing specialist for e-commerce, email marketing specialist for finance, email marketing specialist for tax relief. You can imagine and write down a few of these keywords yourself. In fact, you should pause this video and do so right now before we get to number 3. The next foundation. Our last foundation that we need to talk about is innovative marketing positioning, okay? And I had to use the describing word innovative so that you understand that times are going to change. You're going to pivot in business. You're not going to be doing the same thing for 10 years straight. You're not going to be doing the exact same thing. For example, I went from B2B blog writer to social media agency to email marketing specialist / private business advisor, okay? So they're very similar. They're all in marketing and business. They're all dealing with sales, but it's not the exact same thing. Like, I'm not handling social media profiles anymore. Now, a couple of years ago on the e-commerce side, hair care, I worked with a custom hair care company. They are probably the leading custom hair care company that exists in America. Now, their positioning, they were able to, with their formulations, actually serve Black women, Korean women, and white women because they did something so genius and specific. They would offer custom quiz results. So people who get in their funnel or who get in this segment of their ecosystem, they take a quiz. If their hair is frizzy, if it's just curly, if it's straight, or if it's damaged, okay? Somebody goes through that quiz, you go through that quiz, or I go through that quiz. They send you a custom formulation. So they did 2 things. They're so separate from Garnier and Walmart or whoever As I Am across the road, which I used to love As I Am. Don't get me wrong. As I Am is so good for Black women because it's a super moisturizer. But the way the custom beauty industry would ask them to take a quiz, it felt like a diagnostic. It felt like, oh, I'm going to like a hair doctor and you're about to deliver my custom products to me. It felt elevated, exclusive. It felt next level. And of course, they're still in business. This business does $853 million in revenue per year. I handled their marketing, their email marketing, their SMS marketing, consulting with the product marketers and managers, and consulting with the team on strategy, making sure all those links went out, making sure the copy was succinct and complete. And listen, you're gonna have to do the same thing. You're gonna have to decide, how am I going to position myself in the market? This is the main thing clients get out of working with www.tiffygwrites.ai over the past 10 years. It's all about building this 3-tier foundation. Because without market positioning, without innovation, you're going to disappear into the sea of other businesses that are just like you. And it's even more dire in the age of AI. I'm telling you, I have seen so many entrepreneurs go out of business. People that I would just see in passing, people that I would just see and be like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. They are out of business now. But my clients, they stay in business because they lay the foundation and they never stop, like literally. My clients do not stop. One of my clients actually, and you can go to the previous video to see those messages and see the sales page because it is pristine, okay? But listen, she's like, I'm gonna keep marketing this. I'm going to create some carousels, some reels after I wrote her sales page, her sales sequence for her emails, and she's bringing in $1,000 per day from that funnel. She handled the ads. I did the more organic email marketing, retention marketing, okay? She's continuing to market that business because she decided on a specific product and a funnel to focus on. She wasn't distracted. She wasn't like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna hop over here, then I'm gonna stop for a month, and then that's not what she did. She is all in on her launch using data-driven decisions. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, sis, I need to speak to you individually. I need to get inside this VIP day, or at least I need to look at the enrollment guide and see what this entails to see if it's right for me. Because listen, we are midway through March. Like, if your business has been trying to pivot, but you can't really pivot into a new area, you don't know how to integrate AI, you're kind of confused about what to do in business, this is the perfect time to work with me. Because my client Edwina, she was confused too. She came to me, we were on the call for 45 minutes. It was a complimentary session. And she was like, my buyers that I had back in 2022, they're not responding anymore. I'm not sure what I should do. So I asked her some questions. And through that diagnostic assessment, she came up with an idea. She said, okay, let me come up with my most valued player course. A program designed for fashion businesses, e-commerce, beauty businesses, people like that who are entrepreneurs. They have wasted so much money because they did not understand that they should not be purchasing inventory, but that they should be focused on ads marketing, okay? She films the course, she comes up with it. She emails me about 3 weeks later. She says, I'm ready. Let's get to work. So we work together in a VIP type of setting, 2 weeks. We deploy the email campaigns, and she is selling out every single day. But here's the thing, she uses ads. You may not use ads, that's okay. I don't even use ads. I'm really focused on organic marketing. I use a lot of blogging. I use a lot of discovery on LinkedIn. That's why I say I let my words do the heavy lifting for my firm, because that's how clients find me. So visit www.tiffygwrites.ai or www.tiffygwrites.ai/AI-consulting. On the website, click AI Consulting Trainings. If you're like, I need to put these systems in my business. I know that if I do not handle this properly now, you actually understand that you're already late. You were thinking about this last March, last July, then October came, December, you're like, okay, I'll get around to it, but you've been wasting money on AI tools. You're not really building proper infrastructure, and you've been relying too much on ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Grok and all the folks to write your copy, but you're like, I'm not getting engagement. My emails aren't being delivered. Something's wrong. Well, let me tell you what the issue is. Crummy copy, crummy creative does not get read. You sound like everybody else in the inbox. And if you were honest with yourself, you would know it. Look at your email inbox right now. Really ask yourself, who are the businesses that stand out? Who have you unsubscribed from in the last 2 months? Whose emails do you enjoy getting because they're telling a more personal story, or they're giving you case studies, or they're delivering ebooks to you on their email list? This is something that only you can decide for yourself. But when you're ready, I may be available to assist you. I'll see you in the next video.